Alright, so for the final part of all these puzzle games, I'm going to be talking about the candle game part of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into that. So let's go ahead and show you the script first. Alright, so the first script that we got is the manager for the candle game, and what this script is in charge of is basically just seeing once the game is complete. So you can click and drag a candle object onto the script in the editor. That way so you can access each of those game objects and the scripts that are attached to them. And then here, for this script, we create an equal amount of booleans that can hold the value to see if the candle is lit or not. And then of course the boolean that lets the puzzle manager know once this puzzle is complete. So at the start we set that manager to false. Actually we don't need that. Anyways, but at the beginning we set this boolean to false. That way so the manager knows that this puzzle is not complete yet. And then on each update, so 60 times a second, we check to see if each object is lit or not. And you can see here you got candle.gameObject.transform.getChild.gameObject.active, and that's because of the hierarchy that the game object has. And I'll show you in a little bit. But basically, once all the candles are lit, which is checked here, so this just gets the values and sees if it's active or not, which is a true or false value. And so if all of these are true, if they're all lit, then you have succeeded in that puzzle, and you go ahead and push that true value up to the puzzle manager. So I'll go ahead and show you how it's set up with the candles. Alright, so basically you have 8 different candles. I'll just draw 4 here so you can get the idea. And how these game objects are set up is there is the actual physical object, the model that you can see, and then inside of it there is a collider about like this that represents the wick of the candle. Go ahead and fix this box right here. Alright. And then around that one there is a trigger sphere about like this. So basically you got a wick, and the wick can collide into other areas. So once that, that's unfortunate, but once that collides into it, once the gray box passes through the green box, that collision is detected. And anyways, so in the hierarchy though, you have the actual model of the candle, and then that child is the wick, basically, and that wick has a child that holds a particle effect and a light source, and so that's called flame on, or flame. Well, let's with that. We'll just use this so you can see it, kind of. Anyways, so basically, the game object that you click and drag into each of the slots on that script is going to be the wick for each of the candles, and it checks its child, which is the flame, and if it's active, then it says it's active, and it says it can light other candles, and if it's not active, whenever it collides, and it collides with a lit candle, then it'll light itself, it'll set itself active. And then if both of the candles that are colliding are not lit, then of course nothing happens, because it checks if both of them are lit, and it sees neither of them are lit, and so it says, well, neither of these can be lit. I'll go ahead and show you the code for that. So, alright. So, basically, in this script, lets you light up the other candles, aptly named Light Me Up, basically. So you got a string, which checks to see what hit you, and then two game objects, which is, it detects what the object of that, what object collided with you, and we don't actually use the parent. I was using that for a different script before. So basically, this one goes on the sphere that's around each of the candles, and so it checks to see what hit it, and it sees if it has the tag of wick, the game tag wick, and if it does have the game tag wick, which is what this is set to. But if it sees it as the game tag of wick, oh, sorry, I said that wrong. It takes that tag and sets it to that string. I apologize. And it sees what the game object is, and it sets it to that game object. And now, this is where we check to see if that tag, if that string, which is the tag, equals wick or not. So, if it is a wick that collided with you, then we say the fire is the other.gameObject.transform.getChild.gameObject, which basically says, since this gray box is what collided with it, then it checks to see if its child, which is the flame, is active or not. So that's what's checking to see if it's actually lit. And if the fire is active, then we're going to say, hey, the fire's already lit. But if it's not active, then we're going to say the fire's not lit. And we're going to go ahead and set fire.gameObject.active true. We're going to increase the count just once in this way, so since you can only light each candle once in this game, and they can't really they don't go out, this just keeps it from trying to reactivate the same thing. It's just, I just did that because it's a little bit cleaner when it comes to the debug log. And so that's basically the two parts of that. Is it checks for a collision. Once it gets a collision, sees if it's lit. Well, sees if it's a wick. If it's a wick, it sees if the wick is lit. And if the wick isn't lit, then it lights it up if the wick it got hit by is lit. And that's really all there is to that one. The hardest part about this one really is just the how the game objects are actually set up, and the parent, knowing which ones are parents and which ones colliding, and setting these to be the right kind of colliders, because this needs to be a kinematic collider, and these need to just be triggers, that way so everything works the way it should. But that's basically it for that manager. So that's the puzzle game. That's the candle game, candle puzzle. So in the next video, I'll go ahead and explain how you're able to interact with any of these objects, because it's not just magic. So I'll see you next time.